You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into hour 2 of the Computer America Show. I told you, I promise, it was a really short break. And like I said, in the second hour, we are going to be talking to WPS Office. And by the way, WPS Office is software is a leading office productivity suite for PC and mobile devices with more than 1.2 billion installs. Crazy! I didn't even know there were that many people. Insane. WPS Office is a high-performing yet considerably more affordable solution that is recognized as a preferred alternative to Microsoft Office and is fully compatible uh, and comparable to PowerPoint, Excel, and yes, even Word. So yes, please join me in welcoming onto the show, Mr. Cole Armstrong, who is again the director of global marketing. So Cole, welcome on to the Computer America Show. Thanks for joining us.
Hi Ben, thanks for having me.
Perfect, and you sound really good. So yeah, I'm a little worried about that, but we're good to go. And so thank you for joining us. And I gave people a little introduction, but WPS Office, I'll be honest, first time hearing about you guys. Really glad to have you on the show. But why don't you give us a little rundown about what WPS Office is? How long have you been around? And how'd you guys get started in the Office suite business?
Great, definitely. So that's not the first time I've heard that. That's one of the things we're really working on at WPS Office is increasing our awareness, of our software solution in the United States and other regions around the world. So a little bit of background on our software. So WPS Office is developed by Kingsoft, which is a Chinese developer. The company has been around since the late 80s. They started building Office software and they've expanded into many other different avenues, such as cloud computing, security, a little bit of gaming, and they're even doing some advertising with some different mobile companies. But the main product that they're focused on is WPS Office. In China, WPS Office is the main Office suite there. Users use that more than Microsoft Office. So that's really where the hub of our user base is. And one of the reasons why we have that big number that you called out, 1.25 billion installs. That's across Windows, Android, and iOS. And a very big chunk of that is in China, but we're seeing great growth in the international market and just trying to increase awareness really and make it so that more users are aware that there is this awesome free software that they can use. They're not limited to Microsoft Office.
Perfect, and of course that is the whole reason to have companies such as yourself on Computer America is to let people know of services that they may not have heard about before, and that's perfect. And of course I did blatantly rip my little intro off of your website, so copyright or whatever goes along with that. But you said 1.25, and I just had 1.2, so that 0.05 of course dictates 50 million increased downloads. Very, very impressive.
Yeah, there's a huge user base, and it just keeps growing more and more over every month. It's probably the strongest growth we're seeing is actually on Android. We actually just released an infographic yesterday on our social media channel that compared us with Microsoft and other Office suites that are available on Android, and we're by far the largest Office suite on Google Play.
Very cool.
So if you get a chance, check us out on Facebook or visit us at WPS.com and you can see more information there.
Definitely. And, so that is WPS Office. And of course, Kingsoft, like you said, a little bit behind the scenes of WPS Office. But we've been saying it, Office Suite. What exactly does the company offer? Is it, kind of a one-to-one comparison to Office 365? What do you guys offer for someone who may buy into your applications?
Gotcha. So we don't have a solution, a cloud solution like Office 365, but we're essentially the proprietary software like Microsoft Office. So on Office, you have Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. Everybody's very familiar with those programs, and pretty much all of us use them on a daily basis. So with WPS Office, we have Writer, presentations, and spreadsheets. The UI is very similar to what you use on Microsoft, so there's not a big learning curve if you make the switch. And in addition to that, when you install WPS Office, we've also included a PDF reader and writer, so that you don't have to worry about bouncing to Adobe. You can do all of your productivity, document needs all within WPS Office. And then a key benefit in terms of compatibility, yes, WPS Office supports all of the document file types. So the
Nice.
OOXML, such as the DocX, the PPTX, the older version, just the DOC file. We support all of those file types. And the best part about all of this is on Windows, Android, and iOS, and even Linux, it's 100% free. You can use the software 100% free. We do have premium versions on Windows where we throw in some unique tools like converting PDF documents to Word documents and some other little cool tools like that on our premium versions on Windows, but it's still very affordable. You can grab a year's subscription for $19.
Yeah, and $19 for a subscription, and it's very interesting that you went with a subscription model, which seems to be, kind of the model that is taking over. Like, long gone are the days, I think, of people buying an office suite for, $400 or, whatever it used to be. And it seems like the subscription model, really seems to be doing that because, let's face it, uh, just like Microsoft and their office suite, I'm sure your office suite that you have, it's under continuous development. The features that you have today and the features that you're going to have, or at least are going to include in 6 months, a year, 2 years from now, it's just ever evolving. So subscription model, I guess WPS Office has really found that to be where you want to go.
That's exactly right. So we do offer both, though. So
Okay.
we do have a lifetime subscription. Our lifetime subscription is $50, but you hit it right on the head. If you buy lifetime, then you're buying the current version that's out. And then, for example, right now we have WPS Office 2016, but let's say we upgrade to a new version in 2017 or 2018, you'd have to buy another lifetime license. But if you're on that subscription model, you'll just continually be getting the latest and greatest. And I think one thing to add there, so on the Windows side, there are a lot of competitors, to Microsoft. The smaller Office alternatives like LibreOffice or OpenOffice. But what really sets WPS Office apart is we have a huge engineering team that is constantly working on updating our software and fixing any bugs that arise or just adding new features. It's continuously in development, and that's one thing that really sets us apart from the Office alternatives on the market.
Yeah, and just because Cole, I'm pretty sure you're new to the Computer America show, so we have a monthly show on everything Linux. We really do value what Linux brings to the table in terms of an operating system, and we talk to our guests, or at least we talk to our audience every month about the joys of Linux. So hearing that you support Linux, first of all, very, very admirable. We like that, and of course, on Linux, the alternatives to Microsoft Office have always been Libre and although I think OpenOffice ended kind of development like 2 years ago. So LibreOffice, but again, when it's open source, they're passion projects. They're not, there's no one paid to really make sure that they're on the up and up. It's just you just have to rely on the community to make sure it's kept up to date. So I guess when you pay that $19 a year, or when you pay that $50 for the lifetime subscription, you're also paying and knowing that you can call someone or call someone, email someone, contact someone and say, hey, I have this problem, can you help me? And I assume that you have some kind of support to go along with this.
We definitely do. We have a very strong support team, and I can actually give you the email address for our support team. If any questions ever do come up, if you email officesupport@wps.com. We have a great support team that usually responds within 24 to 48 hours.
Very cool. Very, very cool. And so let's see. We did that one, and of course we did an overview. Again, if you are familiar with the traditional big three, although I did find it a little interesting that that WPS Office was kind of edging into the Adobe line of products, and as much as we love to hate on Adobe, like the PDF conversions and things like that. Why did you, I mean, that must have been a headache from a development side. Why did you decide to try to keep all of this in one app? Was it just so you could have that compatibility between, you rattled off 5 different operating systems that you support. Like, was that the reason? Was just to make it supportable by 5 different operating systems? You had to keep it all in app.
I think probably the main reason why we decided to include it is, if you have a business job or if you use Office software, PDFs are definitely a part of it. And it's always been annoying to me, and I think our engineering and Kingsoft and WPS Office as a whole, having to jump from, different programs with different interfaces for the same task. So we wanted to make it so that users could use one program for all of their document needs. That was really the reason why we chose to include PDF within WPS Office. I think another, benefit too is if I'm sure you've checked out mobile Office suites, like on Android, for example.
Right.
If you install Microsoft on Android, you have to install Word, you have to install PowerPoint, you have to install Excel, and then you still have to go and find a PDF reader to install, right? So that's 4 apps that you have to install on your device where you have limited storage space, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's taking up valuable space for too many applications, all doing the same thing. So with WPS, bundle it all together. Keep it in one small package so the users, don't have to bounce all around for their documents.
Very, yeah, and again, very 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 simple, and I think people really do appreciate the conciseness of it. But real quick, and because it's not an all-in-one cloud solution like you mentioned, Office 365, it's not really analogous to that, but more their traditional suite. What is your solution for maybe, and of course I'm going to give you, I think, a scenario that we've all played through was, we're working on a Word document, maybe we're late, maybe we need to work on it on our commute, and we take it, and we pull out our tablet, we pull out our phone, and we work on our Word document on the go. What is the best solution in WPS's mind for sharing documents between different iterations of your apps?
So we work very closely with all of the major cloud providers. So integrated directly into the iOS and Android app, you can connect with Google Drive, you can connect with Dropbox, Box, your own sort of cloud server if you wish to. And so you can easily pull documents down from Dropbox, edit them, and then re-upload them back to the cloud. And then the same thing kind of on the Windows side, the products, the cloud solutions, Dropbox, Box, Google Drive, they're not directly integrated into WPS for Windows, but if you install those third-party applications onto your machine, then you can easily still drag and drop and open files from the cloud onto WPS. So does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense, and again, I think one of the big things when you're working with documents is being able to share and really kind of work on them from anywhere. So again, you listed off quite a few of the really big names. So again, this doesn't seem like an application where it's like, oh, you have to lock into our ecosystem and it's services that you never heard about. I mean, really, it seems like you really put your best effort forward to use, to integrate yourself into services that people were already using.
Exactly. Yeah, we want to make it as easy for people to use, WPS Office. The no learning curve. Whatever cloud services you use currently, you can use them with WPS. And if you ever have any questions or concerns with how things are performing or how to do something, we have a great help section, a great support section. Our blog offers great tips for productivity and document creation.
Mm-hmm.
So we try and make it as easy as possible for our users to make the switch.
And that's what we like to hear. And of course, speaking of people, oh, go ahead.
I was going to add one thing on cloud. So we actually are also working on our own sort of beta cloud solution. It's available in the Windows product currently under beta. It's a file roaming, all hosted on US servers here with whatever data and documents you upload. But we're kind of dipping our toe into the water to see if that's something we want to explore more in the international market.
Very exciting, and really, I hope that you come back on the show when you have that up and running, and it's not just beta, but something that you potentially fully offer your customers. That sounds again like honestly, we've been talking about cloud services for the longest time, and we kind of do really believe that that's the future where it's heading. Having something on one location, while convenient, is not while not the most convenient thing, is going away. Like cloud solutions are definitely where it's at, but like you said, you have lots of integration with Dropbox and Google Documents, which I think are two of the biggest. So you still sorry about that. You still passed that, but of course, speaking about the customers, and let's say, who are your primary customers, and why would they buy? I'm sorry, why did they buy WPS Office? Because like you said, you are huge in China, and of course, you're really trying to roll out in different markets. But are you targeting people who maybe are turned off? Like honestly, I wish we had you on about 2, maybe 3 years ago, like when Office 365 first came out, because people were losing their minds when Office 365 was announced. Like they just wanted a traditional Office suite. They didn't like the idea of a cloud, solution. Like I think people have come around to it, but uh, who do you think really, kind of jumped on board the WPS Office train? Is it just people who didn't want to deal with all the price tags of the bigger solutions, or is it students? Who is buying WPS Office?
I think you hit it right on the head. So we did a poll just recently, and probably about, I'd say, 65% of our users are either individual users or very small business owners, where they have a home office of less than 5 people. Those are the people that are buying and using WPS Office. And I think the main reason is because we're an affordable but still a very reliable solution. Kind of if you take a closer look at what occupations the people fall into that use WPS Office, education is definitely a big. I'd say maybe 30 to 40% of our users fall under education, students, or teachers. And then there's actually a growing number of IT professionals that are making the switch. So I've seen about 15 to 20% of the users work in the IT field.
Not bad, not bad at all. And it's really cool that you have that they of course have the analytics behind that to to really explore, to see who is interested in your product, because obviously an office suite, like you said, if you have any kind of office job, or if you're doing of course homework assignments, if you are working in like I said, in an office, like you're going to be using these applications almost guaranteed. Like everyone uses Excel, everyone uses Word, everyone uses PowerPoint to some extent. You're going to be using this. So would you say, and we have a question here that I feel like we've already answered, but just to go into a little bit further, who do you compete with? And you're saying that you obviously compete with Microsoft, but of course, you're a much more affordable solution, and of course you compete with things like LibreOffice, but you have but because you kind of pay for it, and of course you have a little bit better of a infrastructure behind the development side. Is like, are those your only two competitors? Is you're cheaper than the expensive one, and you're more reliable than the free one?
I'd say that's pretty close to our competitors there. There are other small, less well-known Office Suite alternatives. On Android, there's Office Suite Pro and Polaris, but the same thing there. Since we have the engineering resources that we do, we feel like our product is far superior to what they're able to offer. And Libra is definitely the main one when it comes to Windows. But same thing, it's a reliable piece of software. I hear a lot of complaints on Libra that they don't like the UI, or it's glitchy and it's buggy. You won't get that when you use WPS Office.
Very good to hear. And I've definitely used Office products way back to, like, Office 2000 or whatever it was, and I've used LibreOffice for a couple of years there, and again, not bad, but there is definitely more of a learning curve when you switch from one to the other, and obviously learning curve when you have to get a paper done, or when you have to get a presentation, or work in Excel like products, or your product spreadsheets. You don't want that learning curve when you really have to get something done. So there's something to be said for lack of a learning curve.
Exactly. The way I've always kind of pictured, WPS Office and the need that it really fills. When I was going to school, I remember there was a period of time where I just bought my laptop. I'm getting ready to, start doing homework, but all right, I got to fork out $150 for Microsoft Office.
Mm-hmm.
And then I tried, what are my free solutions that are available? And, there's the LibreOffice, but it didn't do what you wanted. Yes, it was a word processor, but I might as well be using a text edit piece of software was the way I looked at it. So if you install WPS Office, the UI will be very familiar. And one of the things that's really great, it's very easy to change the skin. So if you like the ribbon view, you can use that. I think that's what will pop up by default if you download the software for free. But you could easily change it to an older version that might look like Microsoft XP or something like that. So very easy to find a UI skin that kind of fits what you're comfortable using.
And when did you say that WPS Office was first introduced?
Well, a long time ago. So in China, they first started building it in 1989.
Wow.
So it's been in the works for a very long time. It kind of picked up international attention itself organically, but it's only been in the last 5 years that we've started really, optimizing the build for the international market and trying to increase its, awareness and drive users to download and try it out.
Right, 5 years, and I remember the huge kerfuffle that was the Office 2007 and the infamous ribbon view that just drove people up a wall. So, but yeah, no, and if you're one of those, if you're one of those that really worked better by having all the menus there and no ribbon view, then hey, it's very very cool that you provide skins. It's obviously something that's one step beyond what Microsoft provided you. So.
Yep. Very easy to switch.
Very, very cool. And obviously, maybe even for a loved one who never really updated from from Office 2005, hey, maybe we're checking out. Maybe we're checking out. And go ahead.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. We do see those users from time to time too that they're used to an older version. So it's very easy to just change the skin so it feels more familiar.
Hey, it's what they learned on, and they don't feel like learning anything else. And it's not what we advocate here on Computer America. We like new things, but hey, it's hard to change minds and hearts. It's not the easiest thing. So speaking of compatibility, we lately touched upon this, but docx, and of course, like really the only iteration or the only difference between the old Office and the new Office, at least that line with Microsoft, was that they added like the X at the end of like all their document kind of extensions. So you said that you can save in the new format and the old format, and like can you export to PDF, and can you kind of do some of those other niche kind of things with WPS Office?
Yep. You can export, you can print to PDF, you can do all of that as well. And there's a variety of other file types that we support as well. We even have our own file format, a WPS format, but it's included in the international build, but not really widely accepted here.
Well, yeah, and
then I think
go ahead.
I'd mentioned earlier too, like, so if you decide you wanted to try the premium version, there's also the features where you can convert PDF documents to Word documents. So kind of another layer to it there.
We know, like again, we've had many a tech company that actually specializes in that. We even had Adobe on not too long ago. That entails optical character recognition, if I'm not mistaken. Like, did you build your own? Did Kingsoft kind of develop their own engine, or OCR isn't the easiest thing in the world.
I think that I'm not 100% sure there. I can get back to you, but I believe that the engineering team in China figured out a solution.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No. But again, it's just impressive that it was included at all. So that's definitely a very, very, again, for the premium product, definitely a cool feature that has very niche applications, because when you're trying to like control F, or try to find something in a large PDF, you definitely want a feature such as that. So very, very cool.
Hmm.
um okay, so next, you said that recently WPS Office announced their freemium product, which I'm pretty sure we've been talking about this whole time. But what exactly is your freemium product? And just to give you a little heads up, we have about 2 or 3 minutes before our break. So what is the
Okay,
freemium product?
gotcha. So the new freemium product that we just announced in May is on Windows, specifically on Windows, is ad supported. So when users first launch the application, we have 1 or 2 banner locations that'll serve on our Docker page. But other than that, the product is entirely unlocked. So you can save in the different file formats. You can print. You can do all of your document processing needs. You just have those 2 ads on that opening screen. That's what the freemium product consists of right now. In the past, we had older versions where we had limitations, where we served watermarks on printing and things like that. But we decided to get rid of that and go with just an ad-driven model on Windows.
Yeah, I can see where the obviously, if you're using an office type of product, then you definitely want, you're obviously using it in some capacity to a professional setting, and having a watermark and everything. I could see, obviously we're talking, the monetary hurdles that we're talking about here, $19 a year, $50 for a lifetime. Like, it's not incredibly high, but watermarks definitely, take something away from it. So it's very cool that you were able to, throw ads in there. But of course, they're still going to be, very, very clear that they're, what's ad and what's not ad, correct? Like, it's like people aren't going to be mistakenly click an ad because they think it's a feature.
Oh, it'll be very, very clear. And it's only right now. It's only on that first page. So when you open up WPS on a Windows machine, the first screen that loads is what we call a Docker page, which is a list of all the thousands of different templates that we have available for writer presentations and spreadsheets. And just on the left-hand side of the screen there, you'll see a little tiny square ad unit. That's it.
Not bad. Not bad at all. And of course, just real quick, is there like a marketplace? Like, if someone wants to do like custom made templates, like is there a marketplace where people can kind of sell their maybe like sell fonts or sell templates?
We don't have a marketplace, but if anybody's interested in that, they could definitely reach out to our BD team, and we could explore options there.
Right. Yeah. No. It just seems like obviously when you have a freemium model, there are lots of ways to to make money off of that, and ad is not not the only one. So I was just trying to see if there were any other ways that you're trying to make money off that, but it doesn't sound like it. So that's awesome. But yeah, the music means we have to take a break. And Cole, we'll be right
Okay.
back, I promise. But the music means we have to take a break, and we'll be right back. So 3 minutes, and we will continue on with WPS Office. Stay tuned. So, yep, help me welcome back onto the show. We have Cole here with us, and he again is from WPS Office. And and sorry I had to cut you off, the commercial break there in the middle. But yeah, I think you were just about to say something before we had to skip over.
Oh, fleeting thought. I
Okay.
lost track of it.
Perfect. Not a problem. Not a problem. But yeah, maybe this will jog your memory. But right before the break, just to kind of continue on, I was just trying to see if there were any other ways you were looking to monetize the freemium app that you have out. And again, which is ad supported, very clearly marked ads, which I think everyone can understand the point of that. And I'm also assuming that there is a version of that where you can pay to either subscribe or pay the one-time fee to remove all the ads.
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah.
And I think what I was going to say before we went to break was just we are discussing and possibly exploring premium templates. We right now our library is thousands of free templates for writer presentations and spreadsheets, but we may explore adding in some enhanced advanced templates that may be at a premium price.
Right, and again, that's something I've seen even in, even in some of the more expensive products and in other products where, people just put the time in and the effort in to really give you a unique look that isn't, cookie cutter, one of thousands of cookie cutters, but they actually put the time in to put something that's gonna make you look a lot better, and of course, there is a market for those kinds of things. So, I could completely understand that, but for now, just the ads, which again, you can do away with a subscription, so not a big deal there. And so,
Mhm.
and again, like, is there strictly a difference between the free, like, is freemium just like the free version of the fee-based version of WPS Office, or are they two separate apps?
So the only difference on between the free and the premium version, so ads on the free version, ads removed on the premium version, and then there's a couple unique tools that we've added on the premium version: the PDF to Word converter and the kind of advanced PDF editor. But all other features and functions and saving in different file formats and printing without watermark, those are completely the same across the free and the premium version.
Very, very good to hear. And again, it sounds like for, 95% of the people out there, it's going to do what you want out of the box. And then for, if you want added functionality for the other 5% of scenarios, you obviously have a solution for that. So definitely good. Um,
Exactly.
yeah. So, and moving on to the next question here, which other markets does WPS Office software have a presence in? Of course, you mentioned China and the U.S., and of course, where do you plan on expanding? Because we've dealt with a couple of the companies. One of my favorite to remember is a company called Doodle, where and again, like Doodle honestly has a lot of similarities, I think, to WPS Office. They were created, I want to say, in Sweden or Norway, one of those Nordic countries, and they had a market share of like 99% for what they did. And of
Mhm.
course, in a country of like 7 million, everyone used the product. But when you're expanding outwards, you need to look for new places to grow when you have that much dominance. So where does WPS Office really see themselves expanding to? Because, hey, you can't, like, when you already have a dominance in certain markets, you got to look at other countries.
Yep. Definitely agree there. So, our main focus right now is really breaking into the North America market. That's where a big chunk of our attention is focused, just driving awareness, and getting more people to try and use the software in, the United States and Canada. But at the same time, since it's offered globally, we do see strong growth in Europe, in APAC, and in India and Indonesia actually are very uh, strong growth in those regions as well.
I would not have guessed that, but I guess, um, you know, just kind of thinking about it, where, like, do you think it's as countries develop, there's going to be a need, a demand for office type products? Because, obviously, and I don't want to get, I guess the word's racist. I don't want to get racist here, but as there's a rise of white collar jobs, you're obviously going to need the office suite to go with it. Um, and I guess as as India develops as an economy, and of course China, well, you got that on lock. But as as many of these other countries that are up and coming, more and more office jobs are being created. Is that where WPS Office really sees themselves as a contender?
I think that there's definitely a stronger opportunity there, where Microsoft hasn't already taken a strong hold over the market. Um, if we're able to go into those regions and say, we are a more reliable and affordable solution, there's really no reason to go with a more expensive Microsoft Office solution. So there's definitely an advantage for us, I think, in those developing countries.
Right, and of course, as we mentioned at the very beginning, 1.25 billion installs of your applications. That's a very, very impressive number. Are you going to use that number and say, "Hey, look, we've been tried, we've been tested, we've been deployed on massive scale." How are you going to use, kind of what you've already accomplished, and of course, build that in the United States market? Because, like I said, been around quite a while, and just now hearing of you, how are you going to, kind of utilize what you've already accomplished to persuade UX, because hey, this is Microsoft's home turf. It's not going to be the easiest thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely the challenge. And I think that, those big numbers that we have, the 1.25 billion installs, we actually just passed 1 million reviews on Google Play. I've looked at some of the bigger apps that are available on Google Play, and a lot of them don't have anywhere near 1 million reviews on Google Play. So I think that those big numbers that we have in our back pocket just adds to, how we are a reliable, solution. I think it adds to our credibility. So, everybody's so used to Microsoft, and they're not willing to make the change to a new Office suite solution because they just automatically think, since it's cheaper, it's going to be less quality.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's so many other users out there that have made the jump, and there's so many people in the world that trust this solution, they must be doing something right.
Absolutely. And of course, I think one of the big things that is going to persuade a lot of people is, of course, your compatibility, and at least the effort that you seem to have put into your application to, not say, we have such a large ecosystem, you're going to buy into us and you're going to use, what we've developed. Instead, you have obviously made a lot of effort into saying, we know you're already using things and we know you're using them, and you're like very, very ingrained in what you're using, be it Dropbox, Google Docs, maybe every file that you own is already in a Microsoft, DocX format. It seems like you put a lot of work into making sure that no matter where people are coming from, if they're new to Office suites, if they have already been using one for many, many years, you're going to be ready to accept them, it sounds like.
Exactly. Yep. We want to play nice with everybody. We don't want to. I know that at the beginning of your segment, you talked about Apple and the new iPhone 7, but we won't go into that.
Oh, no. Trust me. We've went into that 6 ways to Sunday. It's been into, I guess. But yeah, no, it's, you're not taking the Apple approach saying that we are proprietary and we're good. You're saying we're going to play nice with everyone, and we're going to work with whatever you're already using. And there's something definitely to be said about that. And of course, again, Cole Armstrong of WPS Office. And again, your title is the Director of Global Marketing. Does not shock me at all that we've been talking about how you're going to try to raise awareness in different markets. So the turn that this conversation has taken, not shocking at all given your title. And
marketing guy, not an engineer. Sorry.
Exactly. No, but this is great. And we have another question saying that, of course, which industry trends do you see? And again, I'm obviously reading this. Which industry trends do you see that are having an impact on your markets and the consumer software space in general? So, which trends do you see? I guess, which trends are you really trying to take advantage of? Is it the growth in white collar jobs? Is it the fact that, with everyone getting a computer, or let's face it, you have, and of course you've been talking a lot about your Android app. Between iOS and Android, I think smartphones, and especially in India, like that's going to be people's first computer is some form of smartphone. Is that what you're kind of seeing is where your growth is going to be?
I think those are both, valid points. And the good thing is we've already been built out for that. Since we already have WPS Office available cross-device, Windows, Android, iOS, Linux, we're already built and running with that model. Really, the two trends that we're really focused on, and we really see the industry growing, and
Mm-hmm.
we've kind of really hammered on it throughout this, hour of discussing, is number one is freemium. With the boom of mobile devices, people don't want to pay for their software. They want to be able to, use it for what they need to. They don't want it to take up space on their phones, and, they want to be able to use it for free. And that's something that, we're doing that on mobile, and we're pioneering the way to do that for desktop Windows computing as well. There's no other solution out there right now that has an ad-driven model for Windows.
Yeah.
So I'd say that the freemium model is definitely one trend that we're heavily focused on.
All right. So that's one trend, and the second trend?
And so the second trend, I think, another one that we've touched on a lot, and I think it's one that you said that, Computer America is a big fan and has focused on it for a long time is cloud storage. People want to be able to take their documents with them on the go and then pick them up on a different device. And that's very important to us at WPS Office as well. We want to make sure that the users can not only do that, with WPS Office, but can do it with any of the cloud solutions that they've been using in the past, whether it's Google Drive, Dropbox, Box, or their own, cloud solution.
Mm-hmm.
We play nice with everyone there.
That is, and again, that's definitely great to hear. And again, as your marketing guy, and I hope not too many of our listeners are going to be lost in this, but sometimes I like the blue sky, and one of the things that's been kind of hitting the back of my mind, and of course you as a marketing guy, you might find this an interesting discussion, you might have nothing to say about it, I don't know, but it's the idea that I've seen over the years of doing this that we went from the idea that you buy a $400, Adobe Creative Suite where you get Photoshop and you get After Effects, like you get all those for like $600, $900, whatever it was. We saw Microsoft Office go from like $400 for the entire suite. We saw operating systems go way, 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 way high. I mean, we have all these different solutions that over the years have kind of adopted, maybe the Netflix model. They were the first ones to really, really hit it on the head, where you get a cheaper subscription, you get a continued service, but they really rely on you buying into the, really buying into the subscription and keeping the subscription for years to come. Where maybe after 3 years of having the service, you would have paid more than if you just bought the product outright. And of course that makes the company more, but of course satisfied a need that the consumer had of, I'm tired of buying things for a lot of money and then turn around and they're out of date and I have to buy it again. So the company makes more and the consumer gets to keep a current product. But I'm kind of feeling lately that there are so many subscription models and there's so many, there's so many subscriptions going around that people are looking at their bank accounts and they're saying, okay, all my subscriptions just came in and I'm paying, it's kind of annoying seeing 18 different subscription withdrawing money from my bank account every single month. Like I kind of get the feeling of some kind of exhaustion going on with subscription. And again, as a marketing guy, this isn't strictly with WPS Office, but just kind of how do you feel do you feel the subscription model going forward is the end all be all of how companies are going to pay for their products? Or do you think we're going to see a return to how it used to be? Just, kind of how do you feel about the whole thing?
No, I think that's a good point. In all honesty, it was actually something I was just looking at earlier this week. How many subscription services am I paying for right now? Right, I got Netflix, Hulu, Spotify, on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at it and you're like, wow, I'm spending like $75 a month on all these little one-off subscriptions. It adds up quick. So I definitely hear your point there. But I think to me, that's a better model. That way I can pick and choose. Okay, I have $100 a month that I want to spend towards subscriptions. And then you can go and pick and choose what those subscriptions are. Kind of going away from, where it's, I don't know if this is a kind of a valid comparison, but kind of the way I look at it. You look at like cable providers like Dish or DirecTV. Those
Right.
bills are like $150 a month, and I get all these channels that I don't care about. I don't need all of that. I want an a la carte model. I want
Definitely.
I want those 5 channels over there, and I'll spend $2 a piece on them. I think that has a lot more potential, and you'll probably be able to get more people to make the switch to a model like that, rather than just throwing everything at one person at once. So that's kind of how I look at the subscription model, and I hope that it makes a change towards where users can pick and choose an a la carte. But at the same time, I think that software companies should have both in their pocket.
Right.
Appease both types of users. If this user wants to deal with subscriptions, then we have that available for you. Or if you want to buy the one-time license for this version, we also have that available. And it really is not that big of a difference to the software company at the end of the day. At least it's not to me or Kingsoft.
Right. Yeah, and again, it's just something that I've been thinking about, and I think it's just something that companies are going to have to consider, that as more and more do subscription services, and that's definitely the flavor of the month. That sometimes the option of just saying, I have $60 in my pocket, I have $50 in my pocket, I'll just pay for my WPS Office suite, and I won't have to worry about it again for another couple of years. Like that might honestly start appealing to people as they start seeing money fly out every single month. So and again, nothing. This wasn't really about WPS Office. This was just again, you're a marketing guy. It was a trend I've been seeing, and I think it was a good little segue. But yeah, and unless you have any other comments, I think we've really hit home about WPS Office. You can go there. Let's say if someone wanted to try out WPS Office, what would be the best way on every device to get to go about that?
Every device you own, if you go to WPS.com, they have it very cleanly broken out. If you're on Android, iOS, Linux, Windows, free downloads for all of them. We'll direct you to Google Play or the App Store. For Windows and Linux, it'll just be a direct download right from our site. But if you also want to check out, we're listed on CNET's download.com. Just look for WPS Office on download.com, and we're listed there as well. And the version of Windows that you'll download is 100% free to use with no limitations.
Perfect. Yeah, and again, WPS WPS.com. We have a link from our website pointing directly to it. Cannot be easier. And again, it sounds like there's free versions, there's cheap versions, there's one-time buy and you get it forever versions. I mean, it can appeal to, I think, our entire audience if you're looking for a solution that doesn't include Microsoft in your future. So cool. Unless we've missed anything, I think our audience has a really good grasp about what WPS Office has to offer.
All right, great. Well, thank you for having me on, Ben. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. And really, it was nice to hear about you. And we're always looking for new things. And when you do get that that cloud solution out of beta, please come back on the show. We'd like to hear about what you guys have cooked up.
Definitely, we'll be in touch.
Perfect. And we'll see you later. So thank you again, Cole, and thanks for being on Computer America.